Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Aeons. Welcome to Strange Aeons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hey, hello.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I just want to say hi to Vanessa's mom.
Hi. Hello, Vanessa's
Mom. We know you're listening.
Hey, you guys. I kind of surprised you with something pretty dang cool this morning. This whole thing that Danny Williford has been working on has been a Strange Aeons Radio challenge coin. And they have arrived, and they are so cool. The head side is, of course, Nikola Tesla, and the tail side is the Strange Aeons Radio logo, the radio squid that Rob Corliss drew for us. And Eric, you want to read that quote?
I do love the quote on the back of this one. One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane.
Yeah.
So Danny and I kind of put that together, and I told him, well, it has to be Tesla. And he was like, what about a quote? And I don't know, he sent me that, and I was like, that quote is amazing. And he goes, you gave me that quote.
Oh my gosh.
I'm pretty good at this, apparently. So yeah, I assume that's from Tesla, because that's what I would have grabbed it from, but I didn't recognize it. It is very cool, though. And so we are going to be putting these up for sale for a very small amount of money. And then it will be your ticket into the Strange Aeons army.
There you go.
You flash this at a bar or something, and people will probably be like, okay, they'll give you the wink, and then you get something free, I bet.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it work that way?
Peanuts, a napkin, straw,
Coaster.
But if you're out and about and you flash it to the right person and they flash one back, now you know.
There you go.
We got a movement going on.
That's right.
These are amazing. They look so good, and they feel so good. They're so hefty, and just I've never had one before, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, Danny, he was telling me when he wanted to do this, I was like, is this a thing, these challenge coins? And he collects various kinds of challenge coins. Oh. I doubt any of them look as cool as the one he made. So, because I've seen some of these coins before. This one is full color and just really, really cool. So that is the value for value model at work.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wow.
So thank you so much,
Yes,
Danny.
thank you, Dan. I don't know if we're worth all that, but I'm glad you think we are.
And then I also want to say a big thanks to Rob Corliss, who had designed that logo, because he was listening to the podcast and heard me talk about the value for value model and said, hey, I feel like I've been listening to this show for free for so long. And he drew a really cool image with kind of the radio monster after destroying a building or something, and it's got Strange Aeons Radio written on the side of the wall, and it's just super cool. Lots of tentacles. And I thought that was awesome. And we posted that on the Facebook page. And then Danny and Rob are now talking, because Danny's sure he needs that on a t-shirt. So
I need that on a t-shirt. It's amazing. Yes. I love that so much. And it looks like it's like blood or something on the wall.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
Blood on the walls. Come on.
Rob Corliss is one of my very, very favorite people. And I have been lucky enough to work with him on a number of projects. And he's just kind of my go-to guy when it comes to art and stuff. And you guys can see why.
Did he start with Planet Lovecraft, or was it Strange Aeons?
Yeah, he started with Planet Lovecraft. Well, I started Planet Lovecraft grabbing one of his things. He didn't. He was well established by the time I came along. So big thanks to everybody. And if you're wondering what the value for value model is, it is if you're getting something out of this podcast and you feel like you have to give something back, then by all means, make it a piece of art or a challenge coin, or if you want to donate money, there's a way to do that on the website and all of that stuff. You are under no obligation to do anything like that, but everything is appreciated.
Yeah, it's really fun because like I'm not talented in many ways, and so getting things like
Boy,
people.
I know.
You're not supposed to admit that publicly. So getting people who like are sending us really cool art that I'm like I could never do that, or challenge coin where I'm like I don't even know how these exist, or like music. We've gotten a lot of music.
Yes.
That's been sent our way.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's just like I can't play a single instrument, and this is amazing. So
Yeah.
I'm just completely blown over.
And those Photoshop images of like the 8-ball, the magic 8-ball, and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
Yeah,
that's
that
so
Ron did. Yeah.
fun.
So, and we see you, Ron. I see Ron just posting regular stuff, and then at the end he'll throw a strange Aeons Army hashtag behind it. I'm just like, thanks, man. We appreciate that.
I've tried. Yeah, I've read a few of those and been like, what is happening right now? Like, did this happen and I slept through it? Or like, what's going on? There's just some intense, but lovely writings.
Ron is a storyteller.
Mhm.
Hey, you guys, I watched the big movie this weekend.
Oh.
Oh, I think I know
wonder
which one you're saying.
I bet I do too.
Are we talking Army of the Dead?
Yes.
Okay. What did we think of this?
I watched 46 minutes of it.
Oh,
And
so
then-
only 2 more hours to go.
So I don't know if I'm going to watch those because we're watching it. Dean and I were watching it last night, and it got, it's got the opening segment that you get in all these action movies that usually takes like 5 minutes.
Oh no!
Like at the
this one's
beginning
like
of Armageddon or any of those. It's like, hey, here's the guy in the motorcycle. Hey, here's the smartass. Here, it's like pre-credit stuff, and it's done. I'm like, God damn, this seems 46 friggin' minutes, and they haven't even started anything. Because the idea of an Ocean's 11 zombie thing is kind of cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not an Ocean. So I don't know. What did you think? Because it sounds like you watched the whole.
I watched the whole thing. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was very good, but I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was way too long.
Yeah.
I think that Dave Bautista is a much better actor than I thought he was.
Yes.
He's really good in this.
He really is. He's so charming, and I've enjoyed being surprised by him, much in the way that I was kind of surprised by The Rock at some point.
Yeah.
He has
Sure.
really similar like Rock vibes, but
Yeah. The problem with this movie and most of Zack Snyder's movies is that everyone has to make really stupid mistakes in order to keep the movie going.
Right.
Because if they just did everything the way you or I would do it,
No.
there would be no movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely, I think too long is definitely a great way of describing it. I think that intro, I was like really confused as to what the movie was about for a very long time because I didn't know anything about it. All I saw was like the poster. I didn't even know Zack Snyder was behind it until partway in. And it was like, I was like, wait, okay, so is this like a zombie survival? Nope. Okay. Is this like they're going to band together and nope. Okay. And then by the time they explained that they were doing a heist, I was like, oh, well, that's really cool. And it is fun. I think it's a fun film, but it is like, we could have just shaved so much time off because no matter how much time you spend with those characters, you're never really like any more close to
Right,
those
yeah.
characters. Like, I don't feel like I still felt very lost between his father-daughter relationship, even though I saw like 10 minutes of some kind of build-up about it.
Yeah, I probably will end up finishing it at some point just
I think you
because
should.
Bautista and I like Zack Snyder. I'm not one of the.
Yeah.
I think the point last night is just like, okay, I'm kind of bored. I want to watch something a little more entertaining tonight. And then they introduced the thing of, I have to hunt down this mom who went in there. It's like,
That was
that's
so
a side
crappy.
mission I don't need.
That was actually a very like when they kept going back to that plot line, I was like, you guys, this sucks. This sucks. An escort mission in the middle of this amazing film, or not amazing film, sorry, but fun film. Like it just slows it down
It really
every
did.
time.
It really did. Just any motion they were finally getting was suddenly ground to a halt when they went back to that storyline.
I was like, this is so unnecessary. I guess they needed like a lever to make that one person go in. But I was like,
Sure.
choose another lever. This lever is no good.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I think we're all kind of on the same page.
Yeah.
One question though is, what did you guys think of Tignatara?
Tignataro. If I didn't know all of the work that went into that, I
Right.
would not have noticed at all that she wasn't part of the movie.
Yeah, that's pretty
Agreed.
wild.
Yeah. The only thing that kind of tipped me off were there were a couple of times where like, well, her head would be a little bit too like the white behind it. It almost felt like she was sort of disappearing into it a little bit. So every once in a while, but it looked artsy, so it was fine. And then other times I noticed her arms got way buffer occasionally. Like they just got a lot more strapping. And I was like, oh, you've been working out a little bit here.
Would you say, though, that you were hyper aware of that because you were looking for it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I was trying to, because I was, I found out at the very, very start when I was watching it that that's what had happened. And I was just fascinated.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, okay, when is it and when isn't it? And, trying to figure out like when they pasted her head on, it was,
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good, and I thought she was pretty good in it. So
Yeah.
I'm
she's
totally fine with that. I did love the zombie tiger. That's probably my favorite.
Oh my God. Zombie tiger for the win. Absolutely. I couldn't work out the zombie main bad guy. Is that the same zombie from the start or the zombie he eats? Or the first soldier he eats?
Oh, you know what? I don't know. I guess I assumed it was the zombie from the.
I thought so
from the
too.
truck.
But then but the face looked enough like the first guy he eats that I thought maybe it was actually him.
Okay.
But I couldn't tell.
I don't know. Some implied zombie loving going on there, though.
I know, zombie lore. They just went to town. They just wide open. I mean, this is like, it felt like a comic series or like a show. It didn't feel like just a 1-part movie.
Well, and it is apparently just the first part of a series.
Oh, well, there you go.
So he has a deal with Netflix for more movies in this universe.
Even though this was out on HBO?
No, it's
Netflix.
Netflix.
Was it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I watched it. I'm not sure what was going on. That's great.
Once you subscribe to them, it's just like, now where is this?
Right.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. Okay. Well, I mean, we'll see. Maybe it'll suck.
I think he gained a little too much. I can make a movie as long as I want to because of Justice League. It's like, pull the reins back a little bit.
Yeah.
They get snappy shit like 300. There's no wasted time in 300.
Yeah.
And there's really almost no wasted time in Dawn of the Dead. But
No.
in this one, there's a lot of wasted time.
Yeah.
I've only seen 46 minutes of it.
The problem being that, in this new format, you don't have to. The whole
Right.
reason the 90-minute movie came about was so that the theaters could show as many as possible in a day.
Right.
Oh.
And so, like, when Tarantino comes with a 3-hour movie, they're like, it's a good thing we're going to sell out all of these shows because we're missing a certain amount of plays.
Oh, there was so
Oh.
much shit because I was still getting the like retail trades and stuff at Suncoast when Titanic was coming out. There was a lot of pushback about that, a lot. And then it became, for the time, the most profitable film ever made. And everybody in the theater thought, oh, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah,
still
so
gonna
I think
whine
I think
at
we're going to
3
see
hours.
longer movies now that there's no real, nothing to stop them from making it a
Yeah.
3-hour movie. And unfortunately, Zach likes long movies.
Yeah. And that's the problem is like, they've got, especially during COVID, they've got a captive audience that is just like, whatever, I don't care. I don't have to go anywhere to go.
I just watched 6 seasons of Schitt's Creek. What's that?
Yeah, what
3
else
hour
is
Yeah,
there?
exactly.
It's no big deal at all. But I also like that because of those, the freedom you get from streaming movies, we get so many more interesting titles and big
Well, yeah.
risks and short films too. Like, what was the one where they were a host?
Oh, right.
Host,
It's like
which
a
is like-
50 some odd minute movie.
Yeah, which was great for it.
How about you? What did you?
Oh man. Okay. Well,
No?
that was the
Alright.
one I was going to talk about. So,
Uh-huh.
let's see. I've watched so many things recently.
That's good.
Which one do I want to talk about? Well, I did finally get through. I'm on the last episode of season 1 of Warrior.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, so that's been a real treat. I think my favorite episode out of all of them so far is the Wild West
Yeah.
episode.
That's a good one.
yeah.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
it's so solid. It's so solid. And it's just, the show is just incredibly, it started off, I think, really slow. I was not like in love in the first episode, but I've definitely, every time the gangs like fight in the streets, I get really nervous because I like at least one person on all sides. I'm
Yeah.
like, don't break that guy's arm though. Like, I really like him. Please survive this next step. So that's been fun. And the person who plays I don't remember the warrior's name. Something.
Yeah,
The lead?
us.
I'm not sure.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but the lead, when they show him young, I was like, this child actor is awfully familiar. And I looked it up, and he plays young Danny in Paper Tigers.
Oh,
Holy shit.
nice.
Yeah, same kid. I was like, I swear, I was like, I better not be just racist. Like, I really want to make sure this is familiar because it's actually, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, it's the exact same kid. That's great.
You know what I love? I better not be racist.
I really had that moment. I was like, fuck you, Vanessa, if you're just like, well, all Asian children look the same. And I was like, no, it's the same child. I'm so happy. But also, it's a small community of actors who have that kind of talent, and especially from that age group. So,
Yeah.
I'm sure that kid's getting a lot of work.
I hope so.
Speaking of, I watched Paper Tigers.
Oh my gosh, what did you
I have
think?
not watched it yet.
It's fun.
Mhm.
It is definitely a family film.
Yeah.
It definitely pushes the realm into the wonderful world of Disney kind of
It
movies
so
at times.
does.
Because it's just it plays the book really, really well.
Yeah.
And, but the performers overall are so good and so much fun to watch that it's just fun. It's well done. It's incredibly well shot. Hey, it's well edited.
Hey, it won some kind of like best editing award somewhere
Oh,
because
okay.
Chris, who I was assisting, like was gloating about it.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's I have been trying to tell people it's a martial arts movie, but it is a family film,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's a comedy, and
Mhm.
it definitely the original version that we first cut was a much darker movie, and we just slowly started stripping more and more and more out of that. So
I can see why it's getting all the accolades and why it's, it's not going to be probably not like 95 on Rotten Tomatoes, but it should definitely be in the well ranked. It's good. It's good. It's
Yeah.
fun. And it's always fun to see a Seattle shot thing
where
where you can recognize the city. Like the opening shot is one of those dragons from the International District.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Like, oh, I know exactly where we are.
Yep. I remember when we had completed filming and they went, oh, we need some establishing shots, and like booked some people to run around the city and just get some stuff to throw in there. Yeah. I love that they did use a lot of local Chinese and Asian establishments too. Like they used China Harbor, and like there's just a lot of God, the whole city kind of came together and threw in the Asian community here is incredible. It's just incredible. So
We also have the advantage and disadvantage of not being a heavily filmed city. We're a heavily used city for
Right.
locations, but they actually, so everything's shot in Vancouver or some other city, and it's called Seattle. So you get a lot of people that it's still exciting to see a film crew in the area. It's not a thing you go, all right, now the time to cash in.
yeah.
But so it's a neat city to film in. I just wish we had more people filming in it.
Yeah, agreed. Well, Soderbergh was just here.
Is this still available just as a rental?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. It's not too expensive either. It's not like
No,
a full price.
$6.99, I think, was
Yeah.
the
Very
like
cool.
that.
Well, I watched a really interesting movie. I can't even tell if it's good, but Eric, I think you'd like it a lot. Vanessa, maybe.
Yeah.
And it is called The Djinn, Djinn.
Oh, I saw a trailer for this.
It sounds familiar.
It is about a young boy and his dad who moved into a new house, and his dad works as a radio, like a DJ in the night shift. So the boy is alone in the house,
Yeah.
and this malevolent force shows up, and the entire movie takes place in the house, and this boy trying to keep away from this thing. And the whole thing is he is mute.
Oh.
So for about 70 minutes of this, there is no talking at all.
Whoa.
Wow.
And it's all one location. So it's not even that it's that good. It's just so interesting and so well done that you're like, wow, holy cow, and the kid is amazing.
Very cool.
Huh.
Just one of these amazing little actors who is given no dialogue, so he has to, do everything with facial expressions, stuff like that. And I was kind of blown away with it. The bad part is there's a lot of stupid stuff going on in it because they have to kind of keep him in the house.
Oh.
But I just thought, the whole idea and the way they pulled it off was definitely worth watching just for that. They somehow managed to do a feature film in one location with pretty much one actor.
Wow.
And no dialogue.
This is a new film?
Brand new.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I remember, I want to say Netflix put out a film when they were first putting out their original content where it was a girl who was blind and like somebody is trapped in the house with her.
I think you're thinking of Hush, maybe?
Hush, yeah.
She's deaf.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
that's
deaf.
a good one.
Yeah, so that just sounds kind of similar to like as far as restraints to that one. Right.
Well, I would say give it a try for the filmmaking.
Okay.
Wow, very cool. And that's is that a Shudder or a?
It's a rental right now, but I imagine it'll be coming very soon to Shudder.
Yeah.
Well, I checked out what streaming service was this on? They're all blending together for me today.
Yeah.
Stowaway, which is a science fiction film in which a stowaway is on board.
I think that is on Shudder.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's not a horror version. So I think it's either Netflix or Hulu. It's got Anna Kendrick and chick from the movie with the family. Anyway, doesn't matter. The Australian horror film. No, sorry, the Australian actress from the horror film with the family and the little girl loses her head.
Oh, that Wolf Creek or something like that?
No, you guys totally know what this is, but it's fine.
When you say lose your head, I think of a very particular
witches.
film, but that is not Australian.
No, it's not an Australian film. She's an Australian actress.
Oh.
The mom from that movie. Okay. Anyway, does not matter.
Not Heredity?
Yes, it was Hereditary.
Oh,
Yep,
okay.
the mom from Hereditary is in it.
Oh.
Yeah. Really great actors. Feels like a small, cheap COVID movie. Like it's just got 4 actors on a set. But having seen a lot of science fiction movies and a lot of space movies and a lot of, oh no, how do we survive? We've got X problem. It was so just by the book. I was like, I don't know why it exists. I have no idea why they made this movie.
Ouch.
Yeah. I mean, it's good acting and, great effects. Like it looks really good. But when you get to the end, you're like, why? Why? What is this? What am I getting out of this movie? It's like nothing.
Wow.
Anyway.
So that's a pass on that one.
Stowaway, I feel like if you've ever seen a spacecraft in any kind of trouble movie before, you can skip this one.
Okay.
There are much better ones out there.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those.
Yeah.
On a very, very, very different plane, another Andy Milligan film, The Body Beneath. Now, one of the weird things about Andy Milligan is there's a lot of think of John Ford, I think, said, if you need to tell your movie with words, find another story.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone the other direction for that. He is an incredibly verbose writer, and he gives everybody lots to say, which sometimes is hilarious, and sometimes I got the point. Move on. But boy, his vampire movie is weird. I mean, really weird. It's sort of a telling of Dracula, except he's kept alive by intravenous drug use at times. And there's the 3 brides who kind of look like Dawn of the Dead zombies, the original Dawn of the Dead. So they're these bright blue wandering around in very strange. Oh, I don't know if Aerosmith microphone came to life with all the scarves. It kind of looks like that.
Oh my God. Whoa.
So
what's the name of this movie?
The Body Beneath.
And
Andy Milligan.
Yeah, remind me who he is.
He's a very strange underground filmmaker who's just troubled and weird and makes his movie. He's often writer, director, camera operator, editor. And somehow he makes these films that sometimes are oddly compelling and interesting, but they're all still kind of terrible. It's such a weird experience watching his films. So I find it uniquely different. Maybe next time. I've got a couple other box sets of DVDs of artists that I haven't deep dive into yet. So, maybe I'll do one of those next. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. Like Bergman or Hitchcock.
Geez, sorry. I just asked. Man.
No, it's not just you.
Well, cool. How about we take a little break, look at our challenge coins, and then when we come back, we are going to be talking as seen on TV.
Now, in the set that you're watching now, does a channel ever come in like this and give you only sound? Or, when the picture comes in clear like this, is the sound ever so hard to get that all you hear is this? Well, that never happens with this wonderful new Westinghouse set because of the miracle of Westinghouse synchro tuning. Picture and sound come in together just like that. And once tuned, this set stays locked in tune. Now, here's something that will really amaze you. Here's the size of the screen in most table models. Now, let's compare it with this new Westinghouse screen. There. Now, that's quite a difference, isn't it? Engineering improvements give you a huge 17-inch rectangular screen in this wonderfully compact new Westinghouse set. Just ask your dealer for the Westinghouse Linwood. There's no other set in its price range that compares with it. You can be sure if it's Westinghouse.
We're ready?
Yes.
Yep. Oh my God. What happened?
Shall we do that again?
Yes.
We have returned. Vanessa, this was your subgenre.
Yeah, absolutely. So I chose for this week as seen on TV. And that doesn't mean TV movie. What it means is a movie that either inspired a TV show or a TV show that inspired a film. So there are a lot of options out there.
Yeah.
Finding something that was at all even remotely off the grid was pretty tough because if you're making a TV series out of a movie, then it's probably a big property. So I was looking at things like Exorcist and Omen, but I had a moment of inspiration, shall we say. So I chose the 1992 movie, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I just met this girl named Buffy from Pike.
Pike isn't a name, it's a fish.
I liked her even though she seemed kind of flaky. But as it turns out...
You have been chosen, Buffy,
To do what?
to stop the vampires.
Does Elvis talk to you?
And things started getting weird around here. Are we having a nightmare?
You threw a knife at my head.
And you caught it.
She was the one person I could really count on. Kill him a lot.
Hi. What are you doing here?
What am I doing here? I'm saving your butt. That is a bad guy. Can we go, please? The Slayer is unmasked. Let's finish it. I think this relationship has potential. Hi. How's it going?
You're obviously having a bad hair day.
If she can just get rid of those other guys in her life. Stab him in the heart!
Christy Swanson.
I am so sure.
Donald Sutherland. Paul Rubens. With Rutger Hauer and Luke Perry.
Buffy, you're not like other girls.
Yes, I am.
Buffy, the Vampire Slayer.
You didn't even break a nail.
Directed by Fran Rubel Kazooie.
Not sure if you guys have heard of this.
Oh, yeah.
Remind me.
Kind of familiar.
Yeah, yes. So it went on to inspire the Buffy TV series that ran from 97 through 2003. And Mr. Whedon was heavily involved in obviously that.
Heavily involved. Yeah.
It was his baby. Yeah. So, but let's focus on the movie to begin with. Budget of $7 million, box office $16.6 million. So did pretty good. Rotten Tomatoes score of 36% from audience. Pretty rough. 43% from critics. So
Yeah. It's not very good.
No, it's not.
No. The director is a lady named Fran Rubel Kuzui. Kuzui.
The Great Kazoo.
She's from Japan. She's more known as being a sales agent between U.S. projects over to Japan, and gets a lot of stuff brought over. And I'll get more into that later. So she's actually only directed 3 things, which was Buffy, this movie, behind the scenes of Buffy, and a movie called Tokyo Pop, which I don't know a lot about. But she did also executive produce all of Angel and all of Buffy. The amount of her hands being in the mix is hard to say. So
probably not at all. She's got her name on it because she was the director.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, more importantly, she actually financed and found this film.
Oh,
and
interesting.
helped write it.
Okay.
Yep.
Jeez.
So written by Joss Whedon, but basically she found the script, told him, hey, I want to get behind this. I want to give you a shot here. And then she helped him develop the character of Buffy and the storyline. So, yep, pretty heavily involved. So the writer, Joss Whedon, you guys would know from Angel, Buffy, Dollhouse, Firefly, Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along Blog, Cabin in the Woods, Avengers, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The Nevers, and Justice League the First.
And also being a complete prick to women, apparently.
Yeah. Well, human beings as a whole.
True.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It only gets worse. Every time I look into it, it's like I've opened the book and 4 more chapters of bad have added themselves in.
Well, you know what I just found out about him is that Joss, his actual name is Joseph and goes by Joss. And I was like, you know what? If I had known this earlier, I probably would have said this guy must be a raging prick.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't go by Joe like a regular fucking Joseph.
Come on, fall in line with the other Josephs. Yeah,
Uh,
It's as bad as taking Topher as a name because your name is Christopher. Fuck off, Topher.
No, is that why we have Topher Grace?
Yes.
That's bad. That's real bad. Oh, I'm really upset.
I'm sorry I
about this.
derailed you. Please continue.
Oh, now I'm even more upset. All right. And trust me, I'm really upset. Okay. So this movie stars Kristy Swanson. You guys might have seen her in Deadly Friend, Pretty in Pink, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Mannequin on the Move,
Ferris Bueller.
Hot Shots, and Early Edition. Donald Sutherland as the Watcher in this version, Merrick. He's been in 198 things, mostly known as but with louder, screaming involved. He actually does like 5 to 6 movies a year. This guy is he's still working his butt off.
Yeah.
Paul Rubens as Amelin, which is kind of the guy helping raise the Watcher in this version, the Master Servant. He's been in 121 things, most well known as Pee-wee. But he does a lot of TV voice work.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, which I did not realize that he's just so heavily involved in so many projects. Rutger Hauer, almost unrecognizable in this film, as Lothos, the Master. Very bad makeup, very bad acting, very bad everything all around. He was Roy Beatty in Blade Runner. Mm-hmm. Luke Perry as Pike. He's the love interest. You may know him from Dylan in 90210. And he was also in 47 episodes of Riverdale as Fred Andrews, and unfortunately died of a stroke a couple years back now at the age of 57.
Very young.
Very young. Really sad. Really, really sad. David Arquette as Benny, Pike's burnout stoner friend. 140 things, including Scream and Never Been Kissed. You guys know who David Arquette is.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
He was also in 128 episodes of Jake and the Neverland Pirates, which I had to do for Disney, and I hate that show. Nothing good comes of that. Nothing happens. It's so boring. Every episode's the same. Screw you, Jake. Get off the island. All right? Captain Hook, go do something better. Anyway. Hilary Swank as Kimberly, the dumb friend. That was an interesting role. I had not seen Hilary Swank play like a total airhead before. So she is one of 3 very dumb friends of the lead. You guys might know her from Boys Don't Cry. Stephen Root as the principal, maybe? Not really sure. He's in 257 things, including Office Space and Dodgeball. Candy Clark, whose name was very front and center on the credits of this film. She plays Buffy's mother. She was in 70 things, including American Graffiti, Man Who Fell to Earth, Blue Thunder, and Zodiac. So she was kind of like one of the big names on this. I mean, definitely, obviously, everyone in this is pretty well known, but Luke Perry was just coming off 90210, so he was kind of at the height of his fame. Donald Sutherland was already pretty well known. Christy Swanson, I don't think she was that huge at this point. So the plot, it's not going to take very much time to say. It's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. No, for real though. So
yes, but there are aspects of her being Buffy that are decidedly different that they abandoned for the show.
Of course. Absolutely. So first of all, she's just like the other Buffy. She's very like popular cheerleader, beautiful, blonde, very, very like high level in the high school food chain type person. But she's kind of more of a mix of the Cordelia from the TV show. She's vapid as hell. Mm-hmm, yeah. She's completely stupid. She's just very fashion obsessed. She's really like in with her clique of friends. And it isn't till very, very far into the movie that she starts to develop any kind of personality. But she's very athletic. So that's fun to watch. She has a lot of somersaults. She discovers that she is the chosen one and will be trained by Donald Sutherland, her watcher, to kill vampires. Meanwhile, the master is being prepared to rise by his minions. Sounds familiar. On the other side of town, Luke Perry and his burnout buddy, Benny, are total loser cast-offs that everybody hates and nobody likes, and they're just either always high or drunk or just on the outskirts. He is palling around town when his best friend gets kind of nabbed and eaten by one of the vampires because they're trying to grow an army to take over and help the master rise. So about halfway into the movie, so there's pretend a lot of stuff happens, I guess, but nothing really. Pike and Buffy end up finding each other in a graveyard and hit it off. Pike knows that vampires exist because his best friend turned into one. Buffy knows vampires exist because somebody told her, and she's had to train to figure out how to kill them in very fun montage form. And they find themselves starting to fall for each other. She also is simultaneously getting more and more away from her group of friends. She's starting to realize that the things that they care about are stupid and that there is more to life, such as saving the world from vampires. But of course, not without a moment of, oh God, my friends are calling me out on skipping cheerleading practice and ignoring my boyfriend and just not being as cool. My clothes are now 5 minutes out of date. So she has a little reversal in there where she tells her watcher to buzz off, and she will go and go to prom. Dang it. And of course, that means he will then get kidnapped by the vampires and be killed. We're not anywhere near the end of the movie, so It seems like weird, but okay. So now she has incentive to go back and be Buffy. She goes to prom, and of course the vampires rise, attack the school. The master's there. He plans to turn her, and she kicks everyone's butt alongside Pike, and the movie ends. They're on a motorcycle. They drive away. So the things I like about this movie, the humor is actually pretty fun. Both Stephen Root and Paul Reubens are really funny in it. I would say that the humor feels like it's one kind of thing at the first half of the movie and a different thing the second half. So the first half, I didn't think it was funny at all because it's just dumb people being dumb. Like, I don't find like vapid high school girls to be a fun thing to watch when they're just walking around saying stupid stuff. Although I will say, I feel like Clueless picked up quite a few nods from this because there was a lot of lap over between her group of friends and the way they were acting and talking and dressing and the Clueless kind of situation. But the second half, it becomes actually funny. Like Paul Rubens gets to do a little acting. Stephen Root gets more and more and more screen time, where in the high school gym, for example, the half dead vampire kids who are all laying around, he goes around with detention slips and says, you get detention, you get detention, you get all this detention, and it's just slapping stickers on them. And they have this really fun end credit sequence where the different characters come back, including Stephen Root and also Hilary Swank, and talk about what happened. And everyone has a different, like, very character-driven response to what was going on, and all very, very different. I think that it's a fun snapshot of a very specific moment in the 90s. I think that's really neat. It feels like an archival piece. So that's good. It's fun to watch Luke Perry and Donald Sutherland really kind of just acting in general. It's always a joy.
Although Luke did need a razor.
Oh my God. Thank you for reminding me of that. That was harrowing. He has this weird little piece of hair growing underneath his bottom lip and nothing else. And it's so hideous. I don't know what that's called. I don't know what.
Soul patch.
It's a soul patch?
Yep.
There's nothing else involved in that. Just the little. It was so bad. I was like, I can't watch this movie. And then he like gets ready for prom and he shaves it off. And I was like, yes, thank you, Lord. There is a God. And he helped get rid of this fucking piece of fur on his face. So awful. Other things I don't like, it feels like like I said, it feels like there's almost different movies happening at the same time. The pacing is really wonky. The fact that Buffy and Pike don't really even start to have any kind of relationship until halfway through the film feels really weird. And then it becomes, like her watcher is killed and she has to get vengeance, which should be at the end of the second act. But it feels like it happens again, like just halfway through or something. It just doesn't feel quite well paced, but it does kind of feel like a TV movie. So shockingly, the things that are different from the TV show or the same. The mentor-mentee relationship between Buffy and the Watcher feels 1-to-1. It feels exactly the same. But I will say in retrospect, it now feels kind of weird with the older man helping a young girl and like showing up in her locker room and stuff. Feels a little.
I don't see the problem with this.
The outsider boyfriend, his character feels like a really strong mix of Xander and Angel combined. So he doesn't feel completely different, but he's got the leather jacket and he's standing around in the shadows, but he also has a goofy sense of humor and is like a stoner. So you feel like, okay, like I can kind of see where this is coming from. There is the scene where the guy falls on top of the girl or the girl falls on top of the guy.
Oh, really? Like the Wonder Woman thing?
Yep. Same. Exact same. It's in there.
Weird.
I was like, oh God, no. So that's in there. And they spent a lot of time like that, like just sitting on I think she's on top of him. Just lays in there, talks to him about whatever. Anyway.
That's a Joss thing.
It's a Joss thing. This is a Joss signature move.
You're going to watch this for like now watching Quentin Tarantino movies. You're watching for the damn feet shot.
Right.
Now it's like, oh, there it is, Joss.
Exactly. Like so much feet. The dance, the prom does feel a lot like the Bronze. She ends up like standing at the edge, like watching other people dance and having this nice slow moment. And I was like, man, this could be ripped right out of the show. It feels so right on. But the music is completely different. Way more pop songs, way more upbeat energy. And obviously the show had a lot of like indie bands that were contributing and like smaller level stuff. And I just feel like the sense of humor is just so different. I mean, the show is definitely much more serious, and this is extremely wacky, like as wacky as you can be.
Do we think that might have been what the director's rewriting of the script was bringing in more of the comedic?
Yes. The way the humor is played, yes. And there was a bit of rewriting, but I wouldn't say as much as you'd think. Okay. So I think a lot of the stuff that got rewritten was he had a lot of smart stuff that the producers were like, you're having way too much dialogue in here and no one's going to understand what it is. And so they were like carving away at that kind of stuff. But the actual plot was mostly the same, except for the ending, of course, because at the beginning of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show, we find out that Buffy was kicked out of her school for burning it down because it was filled with vampires.
Right.
And she did not have a boyfriend. She did not have a watcher. And her mom is now very nice. And in the movie, her mom is not. So that's where you start to see he had a different ending in mind. He had a different kind of pivot point, and it was probably going to be a darker project.
Do you suppose the Paul Rubens was ad-libbed?
I 100% think Paul Rubens was ad-libbed. There's a great death scene. So in the show, the vampires, you stake them and they poof, go away.
Yeah.
In this, no, their bodies are still there. And Paul Rubens' death is, he's stabbed with a ruler and he's just going, ooh. And like slowly falls down and then gets back up again. He's like, woo. Oh. And this was a moment that they liked so much they put it in the trailer. So he's just kind of a joy considering his character is nothing. Like he tries to have a good time with it. So a little bit of trivia. Oh man, guys, I don't even know where to. There's a lot. The problem, like I said, every time you open the Whedon book, it gets a little bit worse. But let's stick to like some of the controversy between the film and the TV. Whedon had actually sold the film to country singer Dolly Parton's production company, Sandollar, in the fall of '91. Production was limited to 5 weeks to accommodate Luke Perry's Beverly Hills 90210 filming schedule. The film was taken in a different direction from what one of its writers, Joss Whedon, intended. And 5 years later, he created the darker and acclaimed TV series of the same name. We talked about the details that were different. Joss Whedon has expressed his disapproval with the film's interpretation of the script, stating, I finally sat down and had written it and somebody had made it into a movie. And I felt like, well, that's not quite her. It's a start, but it's definitely not quite the girl. Even though he sat down with the director. And anyways, according to the official Buffy's Watchers guide, Whedon wrote the pilot to the TV series as a sequel to his original script, which is why the TV series makes references to the events that did not occur. He has gone on to make a comic called The Origin, which is apparently the version that he thinks he would have had. In 2009, Hollywood Reporter reported that it was possible that there was a remake in the works, but Joss would have no involvement in the project. But this might have actually been a power play by the studios to try and force him to get involved. This caused so much anger among the fans that the project was kind of shelved. July of 2019, Whedon announced at San Diego Comic-Con that he was working on a reboot of the series, and it might feature a Slayer of Color. Let's just assume that won't happen. So I feel like it's important. It's really, really hard to look into Buffy lore and not see Joss Whedon's version on everything, because he, it's his show, it's his baby. He's been praised as the god of nerd culture for a very long time. So you have things like the Watcher's Guide, the Whedonverse, the Wikipedia page put together by his fans. And you start to see this strange, dark intrusion of his thoughts on everything. So for example, the IMDb page for the director, in the trivia, somebody has very nicely added how she only financed and produced the film and had nothing to do with the TV series. And there's just little jabs all the way through. Like they talk about how she was going to steal the project from Joss to do this reboot, and how like she wasn't even going to let him be a part of it. But I found an interview with her. It was very long and it was kind of boring, but that's okay. And I was like, I need to know who the heck you are. She basically said, oh yeah, they've approached me, but they're looking for the right fit. So I think they're going to make the right choice, whoever it is that they pick, and we'll see what happens. So she was like, not the one who was behind this and forcing him out. So he apparently told people on set, James Marsters recalls that anytime he brought up the movie, he would basically start to cry and talk about how his project was ripped from him, it was stolen from him, and this is like a really terrible, sore point in his life. To the point where, so James Marsters says this, and the fans started a change.org petition built specifically asking Fran and Kazuya, her husband, who ran the company that was basically allowing Joss to make this show, to give Joss 100% creative license because he didn't have any. So I guess the whole Buffy show, he didn't have any creative license. Like they were sticking him under their thumb, and he was telling everybody anytime they tried to get involved, the show would stop being funny. And the reason every time it sucked, it was because they came in and had some kind of involvement.
Wow.
Yeah. And so this petition was born. Luckily, only had 236 votes and was currently closed. James Marsters has, of course, since retracted any kind of statement about this, and also agrees with the other cast members that Joss was toxic fuel. I will say the cool thing about this person, who's the director, who takes American projects and brings them over to Japan, she is behind some really incredible moments. She actually worked personally with Jim Jarmusch early on in his career to help him get stuff out into Japan because he was really struggling. So she got Stranger Than Paradise out there. She then worked with Amir Milan for Stop Making Sense. And then Spike Lee approached her to try and get She's Gotta Have It over there. She's also worked with the Coen brothers to get Barton Fink over to Japan because they tried to get Miller's Crossing out and it completely bombed. So she's responsible for making the Coen brothers a thing at all in Japan. Also, David Lynch. She said her proudest achievement was getting Wild at Heart over to Japan. And she's since had projects such as Wayne's World, huge projects that her and her husband have helped get over there. So this is the person that he's saying won't let him have I mean, this is the person who helped get Jim Jarmusch in Japan, and you're trying to say that she's so Little Miss Corporate, like gonna stick her nose in everything and ruin your shit. It's definitely not that Sarah Michelle Gellar decided to leave Buffy. That's not why it ended. Right. Nope, definitely not. Yeah. Anyway, so I just got very frustrated. I just felt like the deeper into this hole I went, the more I could see his fingerprints on everything, deciding what the narrative was. And it was just making me incredibly frustrated and uncomfortable that he was painting people in a certain way to give his version of a story a specific sheen that it really wasn't. So anyway.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Joss. It's Joe.
Joe.
Known as Joe.
Just Joe, you dick.
I think that might be the last time I try to do a Joss Whedon thing for this show, because like I thought I would be able to like just have fun with it, and I just got really mad. So
yeah, fair.
Yeah. So what did you guys find?
Well, how about I'll go next, so we'll bookend it with things that people have known, and I'll talk about ones that I'm pretty sure nobody knew had a TV series about, at least not US.
Yeah, what do you got?
I got a huge Indian film, Baahubali, The Beginning.
చూడని కళ్ళు నన్ను దేవుళ్ళ చూస్తున్నాయి. అమరేంద్ర బాహుబలి రక్తాన్ని వినుము.
$2015.
I know nothing of this.
I know nothing of this either. I was like, what did you like? You really went hard on this one. Did you see the series before you jumped into this film?
No, but I've been wanting to watch this movie for a long time.
Okay.
It's been and I saw, oh, it's got a cartoon. So okay, there's the one.
Wow.
The Rotten Tomatoes has this at 89 critics, 86 crowd. That's about right. Budgeted at I love this one. $18,026,148 estimated.
We give very precise estimations.
That's right. You're kidding. Worldwide box office of a little over 24 million. Directed by S.S. Rajamouli, who also directed The Conclusion, which was shot at the same time, kind of like Back to the Future 2 and 3 were shot at the same time, and Lord of the Rings and all that.
Oh.
And he also wrote or directed Student One and Ega and RRR.
I love Ega.
Mm-hmm.
I like RRR.
And written by Vihendra Prasad, story by, and he wrote the screenplay. Looks like they're a team. They've done most of their stuff together. Plus 4 more credits were given for writers, but they were just translators. But they got writing credits for the film. They translated to 4 different languages. Stars Prabhas, just one name. You know, it's very Prince Madonna thing going on here. Who's been in Saho, Rebel, Mr. Perfect, and he plays 3 characters in the film. And then Rana Dahubati, who's in Welcome to New York, Dum Maro Dum, and Baby. Many of these people have massive, massive credits, but it's just like, yeah, they're all Indian names. Or you got Ramva Krishnan, who had 203 credits, by example. She's a Queen Republic Bombat car hero, and a ton more people. It's a gigantic cast. It's a huge, huge movie. Opens with an interesting disclaimer that all animals hurt in the movie are computer generated.
Wow.
I looked a little deeper into that, and apparently in India, if you have a computer-generated injured animal, you have to put CG in light letters in the corner of the screen.
Oh, interesting.
When it happens?
Yeah. So every time an animal got hurt in the movie, like they throw a snake at one point or an elephant in battle, that pops up.
Wow. Okay.
And right from the beginning, I'm thinking everything in this movie is going to be freaking epic. The opening scene of a mother trying to protect her baby is shot in front of an epically large waterfall. I mean, thousands and thousands of feet high.
Whoa.
And that mom really kicks some ass as she trudges through the waters underwater, holding the baby above her head.
Wow.
Okay. And of course, gets rescued. The baby does, and he starts to grow. And his important thing to do at this point is he needs to climb that waterfall. So he keeps trying to climb the waterfall and failing and falling in horribly dangerous looking ways, but being just fine. Like, oh. And as he grows, he continues to do that. And of course, grows into this big, powerful, strong man. And his mother is very worried about him. He's trying to use these rituals. There's a lot of ritual stuff here and a lot of legend stuff that I don't know because I don't know Indian lore well enough. But she's doing something with a water that needs to be covered like 100 times or something. So her son, in this big, amazing thing, goes up to this giant rock and starts knocking it loose. And everybody around's looking at like, oh my, look what he's doing kind of reaction. Saying, okay, this means something. Then he picks this giant rock up and moves it under the waterfall and goes, donk. Like, looks back at the religious guy and goes, is that going to be enough water? Okay. that leads to, it's sort of an Excalibur thing. It almost feels like he's broken something that should not be broken. And then he does a little dance.
Oh,
this is from India. Not at that point, but oh yes, there is definitely music in this movie.
Oh, good.
And after that, somehow related, he finds this mask. And if you remember the movie The Mask with Jim Carrey,
Sure.
it looks a lot like that. It's kind of wood grain looking mask. I go, okay. And at that same time, this weird, mysterious woman appears like, well, I'm going to climb the waterfall to get to her. I'm like, okay. So this time he climbs the waterfall, and this is just giant, huge rocks he's climbing up and huge jumps across the water. And it's fun. It's ridiculous, but it's awesome. So there's obviously some kind of magic going on in this world. I'm not entirely certain what it is. Swords move in strange ways, kind of like certain martial arts movies just look ridiculous, but they're cool. It's got a lot of that. And two guys meet in an epic battle of friendship that ends in friendship after they fight with swords for a while. You know how guys are.
Sure.
It does have a bit of horrible sexism that happens at one point where he gets to the top of the waterfall, and he sees this female warrior and a bunch of warriors in snow. It's quite a climb. And she's really awesome, really powerful, great warrior. Looks like she's like the best warrior in her tribe. It's very weird how he kind of courts her by like drawing on her hand when her hand's resting in a lake. He gets under the water and draws on her hand. It's like, I don't know what's going on here. But
something very sexy.
But then they get together in the scene, which is fun as far as just this musical courtship thing where they're singing. And of course, it's India, so they never actually kiss, although there's some heavy implications of other things going on. And but has a very "Why Don't You Smile More" vibe where he takes down her hair and he gets berries and puts lipstick on her and all this stuff. It's like, oh, well, all right.
He's got to pretty her up.
That's exactly what he does. Changes her clothes and everything. It's like, okay.
Is this actress just like gorgeous?
Yeah. It's sort of the she's
Makeover.
all that kind of thing.
Yes,
where it's
I always love that.
the woman in glasses.
Take off.
Oh, she's weird looking.
Yeah.
Glasses off.
She's gorgeous. Take out ponytail. Instantly beautiful.
I never knew.
All this time.
So they do all of that, and he starts to kind of fight for her. He rescues her at one point and then pledges to take over her battle, which he does. She's like disappears from the movie almost. It's very weird. But the tribe that he finds that she's in their princess has been captured by this mean king in a city, and they've been trying to rescue her, and they think they've found a way. So that's the battle he's going to intercede in. And he is supernaturally strong. So he's definitely like a super warrior going on here a little bit. And then we get introduced to the city that he's going to, and it is huge. And apparently a lot of the stuff was built, whereas usually the average sets in India are 24 feet high. They built 46-foot high sets to encompass what they wanted to shoot. So it's pretty impressive. And things get a little closer, and he ends up going home for a little bit. They find a different route to get home, and it turns out he'd been gone for 15 days. I'm like, damn, you accomplished a lot in 15 days. They just do cool, weird, epic stuff. Like he's trying to erase with a cart one time, like a gladiator-looking cart, and they want to stop them. Instead of just lowering a gate, they have these huge bales of hay they drop in front, and then they light two of them on fire, and they fall, and everything goes on fire. So when he hits it, it's like flames flying there. It's like, you guys had fun making this, didn't you? So it feels like they're doing the Battle of Five Armies at one point, but you realize, no, there's still about an hour left. So this is just the start. So they come together and form larger and larger battles. There's some time jumping going on as well. I don't know if you've watched a lot of India films, but structure is not always their strong point. It's more spectacle.
Right.
Yeah.
And this does spectacle well. So it's And it's got a great song thing. This is totally pointless, no needed side trips. Like, what's going on here? Now, the reason I wanted to see this is from this ending here, these last 15 or 20 minutes or so, where you might have seen these on YouTube, where there's a scene where they've set up they're throwing like cannonballs, sort of, but they've put giant fabric on top of them so it flies, and there's this big giant flag that flies and drops on everybody, and then they shoot flaming arrows on it and the whole thing blows up. It's full of shit like that. Just this crazy epic level of battle, and it's so much fun. And they do this very subtle, if you can tell who the bad guy and good guy are, because it turns out the king and the guy are like brothers or something. Like I said, just don't follow it for the story. So they're in a battle to see who will be the one to take over the kingdom when their mother dies. And in the battle, the bad guys set up a barrier of innocent people. And the bad guy has this chariot he's running that's got this giant ripping blade on the front that's just like plowing through people. He just plows through all the innocents. But the other guy comes up a way to use like these bolo things to wrap their legs, and they fall down, and then he heroically jumps over them to rescue them without killing any of the innocents. And it's fun. So if you like big, giant, epic movies with strange musical interludes, this is your film. I will definitely be watching the sequel, The Conclusion.
Well, this came from a TV series, though?
This was a movie first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and it was very, very popular in India. And so they went on to make an animated show, which is oddly not sort of available. It's on Amazon. There's like 15 episodes, but you only watch like 2 of them.
Oh.
And it's like 8 and 10 or something.
Oh my God.
It's very random. So I was like, oh, let's watch one. Oh, it's not good. It's completely different. I'm not surprised, but completely different voice talent. The original director writer's name is on it, but I don't think he had much to do with it. Mm-hmm. But it is done very well, apparently in India, because it's got 58 episodes made entirely over 3 years, finishing like last year. 2020 was the last season. I just wrote, watch the movie, skip the show, unless you feel the need to be a completist. So some trivia. The waterfall scene is actually shot in a real waterfall, but of course added to make it much, much larger. Creating the special effects for that took 2 years.
Oh my God.
Just to deal with the complexity. This was 2015. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, water was still good, but it's still a problem. Yeah. And they had to deal with that. And a lot of these were the first time making this level of effects. So they had a lot to work through. Let's see. One of the characters they created an entire language with more than 750 words and 40 grammatical rules. So there's all kinds of languages going on here. I'm just reading in subtitles, so I didn't know. They established the Guinness record for making the largest movie poster ever produced.
What?
At an overall area of 4,793 meters squared.
What? Where was this?
I don't know where they posted something that large.
Just flew it over the city and blocked out the sun.
But so that's it. Let's see, they had 5,000 artists working 200 days to put the war scene together.
Wow.
It took another 200 days to construct the set on 20 acres of land. It's impressive. It is at times hard to tell what's real and what's not in some of the sets. So they did a good job overall. It took a year in pre-production, which is the longest for any India movie made. The scales and forts and waterfalls were created in a 45-foot high scaled sets, which are almost double their normal height. It was a 3-year film to make. And the name of the title, Baahubali, means the one with strong arms. And by golly, he does have those. And so they made the swords out of carbon fiber instead of steel, so they could be very, very light and easy to do crazy shit with.
Oh.
The same material they used to make helicopter blades, apparently.
Oh, interesting.
And let's see, it won 5 awards from 10 nominations at the India equivalency of Oscars: Best Film, Best Director, Best Supporting Actress. First Indian film to be nominated for Saturn Awards.
I don't even know what the Saturn Awards are for.
Usually sci-fi and genre
Oh.
stuff.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that.
And let's see. Oh, awarded for fantasy film. Okay, I can see that. Let's see. So I found a different worldwide total of $91 million made worldwide, making it the highest grossing film in India and the third highest grossing Indian film worldwide. Took 380 days to shoot.
That is a long shoot.
Wow. That's a commitment.
Yep. So
obviously paid off.
Yeah, it worked out. Yeah, I'll bring a brief comment on after I watch the sequel. Mention that in an upcoming episode sometime.
Absolutely. I mean, Bollywood films, or at least, are all films in India considered to be Bollywood?
There's also, I think, I couldn't remember for sure, so I didn't say. I think it's Tollywood or something like that, which is southern
several
India.
different provinces, and they all have their own little film style and their own film companies.
It's amazing. The few very standard, I want to say, Bollywood films I've seen. I did not expect the level of spectacle that was presented, like the action scenes that are freaking insane and so over the top, and then singing and dancing and everything is just so big.
Yeah, they are. They're fun to watch.
Well, and we think that, we have attractive women over here. The women in those movies are so stunningly gorgeous that you're just like, what are we doing wrong over here?
And some of the male leads are not, though.
Yeah, it works both ways.
Yeah. Well, okay. So this is one I did a lot of research on.
I'm so excited. I kind of vaguely knew this thing existed, but I can't wait to hear.
Well, first I was going to do from 1980 a series called Beyond Westworld, which took it was 5 episodes that took place right after the first Westworld, and it completely ignored Future World.
Whoa!
But as you watch the series, they're kind of taking on some of the ideas from Future World. So one of the scientists in that Westworld thing has taken the robotics, and he is now making copies of famous people and trying to take over the world. And 2 episodes in, I was like, this is shit. I cannot watch this, and I cannot talk about this in good faith. So instead, I decided to do Blade, the series.
Nighttime is no place for the living.
Hominus nocturni?
Vampires. This is Vampire Ash.
Welcome home, old man.
Blade's back.
I didn't hear you.
Nice.
But before I get to Blade the series, let me tell you a little bit about the Blade movies.
Excellent.
So in 1998, Blade came out with a budget of $45 million and a box office of $131 million.
Whoa!
Rotten Tomatoes critics of 55% and 78% for the audience. And the audience really liked this movie.
Yeah.
And I don't think many of them understood that it was a Marvel Comics character, which is probably why they liked it. It was directed by Stephen Norrington, who did The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But it was written by David S. Goyer, who did all 3 of these Blade movies. He also wrote Batman Begins, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman. And it starred Wesley Snipes, Stephen Dorff, Chris Christopherson, and Udo Kier. And we're introduced to the Blade world, which is this kind of underworld type of thing with vampires and bickering houses between the vampires. They're almost like a mob set up. And the backstory is, I mean, that's the background of the series. And the story is that Blade is half mortal, half vampire. He can walk in the sun. He's got all of the best qualities of the vampire, like the strength and all that stuff, but he's got none of their weaknesses. And he needs blood. So I guess that would be considered a weakness, and he goes out of his way to make sure that he's not getting human blood. So that's Blade. That movie is basically him trying to avenge the death of his mother. So Blade 2 comes out in 2002. Rotten Tomatoes of 57%, and the audience has it at 68%. Directed by Guillermo del Toro.
I've definitely seen this one.
And written by David S. Goyer. This one stars Wesley Snipes, Chris Christopherson, and Ron Perlman, because Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah. Gotta get his Ron.
And in that one, there is this rare mutation that has happened in the vampire community, and it has created these things called Reapers, and they are feeding on other vampires, and they are creepy looking, very cool. So the house is all basically put together, kind of a dirty dozen of vampire killers, and they asked Blade to lead them. And the dirty dozen is called the Blood Pack.
Oh my God.
And I love that movie.
Yes.
That is a good movie, and it's my favorite of the Blade movies.
Agreed.
Then in 2004, we get Blade Trinity. Rotten Tomatoes of 25% for the critics and 59% for the audience, which seems high. That one was written and directed by David Goyer, starring Wesley Snipes, Parker Posey, Jessica Biel, Ryan Reynolds, Dominic Purcell as Dracula. The worst Dracula ever put to celluloid.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And Blade is fighting this vampire nation that is, running everything now, corporations and all that. And he ends up joining forces with a group of vampire hunters who call themselves the Night Stalkers.
Oh, jeez.
And the vampires have awakened Dracula. For some reason, they're acting like he was the first vampire. This makes no sense to me. I always just thought he was a vampire. But he is the king of vampires, and they have intentions of using his primitive blood to become daywalkers somehow. And then on the other side is Blade and his team, and they are putting together a virus that could wipe out the vampire race once and for all. This is a very, very bad movie, and I have a little story just from that one. According to Patton Oswalt, the production was so troubled due to studio interference and that Wesley Snipes appeared to have had some sort of mental breakdown. He refused to speak to David S. Goyer and often would not come out of his trailer. He would only respond to the name Blade.
Oh my God.
And if he communicated with anyone, it would be via Post-it notes.
Oh, Jesus.
That's amazing.
Ryan Reynolds corroborated this while promoting the film, saying that Snipes would ignore the entire cast, but he once acknowledged Reynolds by saying, "Keep your mouth shut, you'll live longer."
Oh my.
Oh, yes.
That's the one where Ryan Reynolds had to say every line as a joke.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess.
Well, because that was the only thing that kept the movie going, because Snipes refused to show up, so they just had Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel and everything. And so they just filmed a ton of extra stuff, and he had to make it up on the spot. So
wow.
Anyhow, that brings us to Blade, the series. Now, Eric, I think you watched
seen it.
this.
Oh, yeah.
And Vanessa, you have not watched it.
No.
This is available to watch for free on Tubi.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
It has a Rotten Tomatoes of 50%, which I think is low because I really love this series.
Yeah.
Created by David S. Goyer, and the first episode, the pilot episode, is a 2-hour movie that was written by him.
Oh, shit.
And it takes place immediately after the third movie. So it kind of
canonizes
seamless.
it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And in this, no Wesley Snipes in this, it stars Kirk Sticky Fingers Jones, the rapper Sticky Fingers.
Yes.
Oh.
And you know that it takes place after Trinity because they actually reference some of the stuff that happened in that movie, mostly the biological weapon that was created, the Daystar that was supposed to kill. Now, at the end of that third movie, they released that, and it supposedly is killing all the vampires. But they find out that it wasn't as effective as they had hoped, and there were still very many of the vampire houses, 12 existing houses. And in this one, Blade is, they do this right. Blade is the main character, but he has got a couple of human people that actually act as the audience. And so he can explain things to them, and he doesn't change at all. So he works best as kind of this background force of nature while the other people are having to deal with stuff. And this girl, Krista, she returns from military service and learns that her twin brother has died under mysterious circumstances. And when she starts digging into it, she finds out that he was a familiar for the vampires, which were, kind of like Renfield's indentured servants, basically. So that leads her to run into Blade, as well as Marcus Van Sciver, who is kind of this head of the vampire nation, and the guy who killed her brother. And I love this. Marcus is a powerful vampire and high-ranking member of the House of Chthon. And Chthon is a magical creature from the Marvel Universe. So the fact that they dropped this in there, I'm positive we're going to see Chthon in this new Doctor Strange movie that's coming out. So I love that they pulled this out. And he sees Krista, and he's like, I gotta have this chick, but I'm not going to turn her into a vampire the way that I would normally turn people into vampire. He injects her with his blood.
Oh.
Because he wants to make her his queen, so he's making her like a more powerful vampire. But she is very much against this, and she goes to Blade, asking him to kill her, and he's like, I got a better idea. And he starts giving her the serum that he uses to keep him off of the blood. Oh. And then uses her as kind of a double agent. She goes into the vampire community and she's reporting back to him. So the whole series then starts turning into like Wise Guy, like a undercover fed in the mafia, only it's the vampire mafia. And it's really a cool little show.
Yeah.
It takes a couple of episodes to get into being good. By episode 4 or 5, though, you're totally hooked. You totally buy this guy as Blade. In the beginning, to his detriment, he is trying to sound like Wesley Snipes, and he's got kind of a thin voice, so he doesn't make it work. Then he kind of gives that up and starts sounding like himself, and he looks great. The fight sequences are really good. He's no Wesley Snipes, but let's face it, Wesley Snipes was no Wesley Snipes by the time of Blade Trinity. It's just such a shit movie and shit character. So yeah, there's I think 12 episodes total on there. I watched the first 5 and I was like, oh fuck, I forgot how much I liked this series and how bummed I was that it only had the one season. A few things here. On September 28th of 2006, Jill Wagner, who played Krista, she announced that there would be no second season of the show. And the very next day, Spike announced in a press release that the show would not be picked up. As a response to a letter in Wizard magazine, remember Wizard?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Series writer-producer Jeff Johns.
Really?
Yes. Stated that the network didn't want to cancel it. I just think Spike TV is still a young network, and the price it was going to make, they just weren't able to do it.
Sure.
And they weren't able to do it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Spike, I don't even know if Spike exists anymore.
I think it does.
Yeah, I think it does, but I think they've changed their name. There's something else.
Or maybe, they might be owned by somebody now.
I know for a while they were the CSI station. All they did was
they all
of every
do
CSI.
kind of reduce themselves to being a one TV show.
Law and Order, CSI.
Yeah. Showtime was originally going to produce the series with Wesley Snipes reprising his famous role as Blade. The series was going to be a loose adaptation of the Blade comic book series. Catherine Isabel was going to be a regular in the series, and the character of Karen Jensen from the first film was going to return. Mark Singer was going to be a main character in the series, playing Bible John from the comic. But after Snipes turned down the role due to his lawsuit with New Line, Showtime decided to not develop the series. Like I said, available for free on Tubi. Well worth your time. Yeah. If you haven't seen it, it's really good. And it unfortunately ends on a massive cliffhanger and then no second season.
Yeah.
So,
and it's a boundary pusher for the time. As far as its content is pretty...
not quite R-rated, but they got away with a lot of gore that they probably couldn't have on a network station. There was a lot of swearing.
Yeah.
So I liked it a lot.
That's good.
Wow. Sounds awesome.
Yeah. So pass on Westworld tomorrow or whatever after Westworld.
Good to know, because like I love that little, where there's a show that was attempted but failed and then has since been successful.
Yeah.
That's kind of a neat Easter egg. But
Sort of successful.
oh, is it doing badly now?
Well, the Westworld, the first season of Westworld, and an episode or two of season 2 were freaking amazing.
Yeah.
The rest is kind of a weird mess.
Oh, for sure. I've stopped watching it.
Yeah.
So
I think
just
it's over.
assumed other people were.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know.
I just don't know.
Well, cool. Nice topic, Vanessa. Thank you.
Yeah. I think it's I think it has a lot of areas to explore if we ever decide to go back down this rabbit hole.
Right. That makes it my choice for the next one.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
What do you guys think about this? Workplace horror. So it's got to be a movie where somebody's doing their job and then horror happens.
It's like a documentary.
Well, I was thinking something along the lines of, say, Assault on Precinct 13 or that Last Shift movie that you can never get the title right of.
Or The Void.
Yeah,
It's just all the same movie.
Somebody's at work and then horror breaks out.
Nice.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think that there's a couple movies I've really been putting off but wanting to see, and I think that this might give me an opportunity to check something out.
Perfect. Okay, that's what we're doing then. As usual, many thanks to everybody liking, sharing the post, and getting in on the value for value model. So thrilled with all of that stuff. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Love everybody. We'll be back in a week. We're talking workplace horror.
Yeah.
Bye.
Our show is recorded somewhere high above Naval Station Everett at the nexus of all realities and is engineered and produced by Eric Margaret. Our theme music is Strange Aeons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find Strange Aeons Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and wherever fine podcasts are found.